We're live. Here we are. Good afternoon, everyone. Just wanted to let you know the tape's rolling now. It's okay. Today is Wednesday, July 6, 2016. It is 12 o'clock noon, so we shall begin our city council meeting. May I please have a roll call?
Pete Hamill.
Here.
Randy Funkert.
Here.
Brad Hint.
Here.
Greg Gills.
Here.
Zach Sawyer.
First on the agenda is public comments. Are there any public comments? Now would be the time to share them. There are none, so we'll move on to number 2, the consent agenda. Do you have any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda? Regarding the,
go ahead.
I'm just gonna mention the appointments. Thanks, Randy. Trails Board, Keith Ralston, Sherry Bosman, however you say her name, I apologize. Phil Grover returning to the Trails Board. Tim Potamom is continuing on Planning and Zoning. Doug Roger, Board of Adjustment. Millie Boss, Museum Board. Those are the appointments today. Now, questions, concerns, comments? If not, a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. Last request for any comments?
My only question is,
Yes.
Tom Morley, Marlene Paper listed as left message. We've not heard back?
We have not heard back, so we will just wait until we hear from them.
Right.
The other openings, there is one regular opening on Planning and Zoning. On the Board of Adjustment, there's one regular and one county opening available yet. So we'll wait with Tom and Marlene at the museum till we hear from them. Okay, any other questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Gills.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Thank you. In old business, continuing to number 3, is considering our final reading of the water sewer ordinance.
This would be actually a motion to approve and adopt the ordinance.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion to approve.
And adopt.
Adopt the ordinance,
Thank you.
since we've discussed it at budget hearings and that. So,
Support.
Thank you. No one has had any comments or feedback then?
None.
Okay. If there are no other comments, questions, do we have a motion to approve the water sewer ordinance and adopt that? I mean, do we have a roll call, please? What am I? Oh my gosh.
Hamill.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Hint.
aye.
I saw that eye looking at me. Tricia, we already went there. Going into new business, number 4 is considering a request. Kurt is going to come up on behalf of the SCDC and share some information about a housing program possibility opportunity.
Yep, thanks, Mayor. As you all are aware of, I mean, obviously, Sheldon, we're kind of in a housing pinch right now as far as mid-level housing availability for whether it's new family moving in or maybe a current resident's already in town looking to maybe bump up. Whatever the case may be, we're in a shortage. Over the past few months, SCDC has obviously taken an aggressive stance of wanting to do what we can to make available housing for our community. We've done some research, taking a peek at some surrounding communities, maybe what they're doing, what's been successful. And we've done some research about creating a spec house program which would be financed through the Sheldon Chamber Development Corporation. This is a lengthy process. We've got to this point after doing, obviously, like I said, a lot of research. The biggest thing is we want to get to a point where we can create a spec or a finished sheet on a spec house, create a marketable floor plan that we feel will be marketable for our community, our residents moving into Sheldon. I think we've done that. We're very, very close to releasing this and getting our first project started or get a hole dug for a basement. So we've relied a lot through some local professionals in helping us create our spec sheet and a floor plan that we feel like would be marketable for people interested in housing. We're to a point that we're ready to, I think, pull the trigger here in a few weeks, maybe a month. And what we're looking at for consideration from the council today is we'd like to potentially build our first spec house in a Sunshine Edition, Lot 11. So what we're looking for consideration from the council here today is to essentially let us transfer that property to SCDC and let us continue to do our due diligence to make sure when we do put this project out that we have our spec sheet, our finished sheet finalized, and our floor plan where we want it to be. It is our full intention then at that point is we will get that floor plan and that spec finishes sheet out to all our local contractors here in Sheldon. to put it into a bid process to return to Sheldon Chamber Development Corporation for consideration of ultimately building that spec house for us. So that's kind of the gist of the program. Like I said, we put a lot of time and consideration into getting to this point. It was a few weeks ago we were here, and we just weren't quite ready to pull the trigger, just because, again, the spec sheet it's elaborate. We want to make sure it's complete as possible before we do put it out for that bid process. So certainly can open up for any questions at this point.
This is one of the dollar lots, correct, on South 10th Avenue?
That is correct. Yep. It was last year this time we had, I think, passed a resolution to put those remaining lots up for $1. I think there were 5 at that time. I think there's 3 remaining. So,
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, it's, one of the comments was brought up actually from the board of, well, why don't we just purchase a lot and we need to go to the council. We thought it'd be good to be kind of transparent and make the council aware of the program and kind of what's going on and kind of rolling the program out and see if there were any other questions or concerns about, moving forward with the spec house program. Sure. Certainly appears to make some sense.
Yeah. With the success of the program with area communities, I certainly feel we can make this successful here. Our goal to get one house started in 2016. And ultimately, with the success of the program, we'd like to do 2, potentially up to 3 per year, depending on, obviously, the demand and the availability of property as well to be able to build these houses on. So,
Sure. And what's the price range that you're shooting for?
the mid-level, we have anywhere between $170,000 to $209,000 is kind of our price gap that we're looking at. Again, a lot's going to go into it, depending on price of property, which we feel we're able to leverage ourselves here a little bit with the dollar lot. So hopefully we can keep that price point, in the 170 to 180, 190. Again, it's going to come back to our finishes sheet.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to come back to the bids that we receive from the contractors. So we want to put ourselves in the best position to make sure that it is cost effective to build. And if the bids come back way too high, we'll take a step back from the project too and reevaluate it to make sure it's in a position to be successful. So,
And hopefully maybe we could sell it before it's done, and then the owner possibly could have his option of some different.
The finishing touches if they want to upgrade
Absolutely.
or whatever.
Yep.
Good idea. Good plan. Thank you.
Have there been conversations with contractors about the idea in general?
yes, we talked to a local contractor specifically about especially with the finishes sheet because they're kind of the professionals behind it. They certainly feel, based on where we're at today, that it can come in the price point that we're looking at, and they feel like it would be a very effective plan. Yep.
Okay, so none of them are interested in doing their own spec houses, I take it?
I mean, we're in a position now where we've been kind of waiting for development to happen.
Right.
Housing is a huge issue for us right now.
Right.
We're trying to put our money where our mouth is a little bit and say, hey, we're trying to be proponents of it. We'd love to see housing go, and if we can help alleviate some of that stress, I feel like we're in a position to hopefully do that. Now,
Okay.
It's a very small project in the big picture of things. Obviously,
Right.
we'd love to see multiple units go up at the same time. But if we can get one, go ahead, Scott.
So the big difference is here is, the SCDC is taking on the risk versus the contractor building it
Right.
and basically holding the bag at the end. So that's where I think contractors are a little hesitant on building a spec house, knowing what that price point is. SCDC, if they can't sell it, can sit on it and hopefully at least get their money back out of the program. Doesn't necessarily need to make a huge profit on it. So
Right.
I think that's the benefit of
Right.
the SCDC being involved and kind of playing banker a little bit.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. I think it's wonderful.
One thing that struck me is, based on a comment you just said, is if bids come in too high, then we step back, and are we going to hold ourselves to the same standards, rules as if a homeowner were to do this? In other words, you buy a lot, it has to be done if construction doesn't start in 2 years. Now, do we have those same parameters in this situation, or because it's a city function,
It should. I mean, the covenants that are established for the properties are basically, the homeowners in the area actually control the covenants. So to me, if they don't meet the same requirements as far as building within the stipulations of the 18-month requirement and some of the minimum thresholds, I think they'd be bound by that as well. I think that's something we can hold to the contractor to say, hey, here's your agreement. That's something I know Kurt's been talking to Mike about as far as putting a legal agreement together, spelling out, all right, XYZ contractor gets the bid on the project. Here's your stipulations as far as performing to complete it.
does, worst case scenario, we put it out for bid, nobody wants to bid on it, we have no contractor, are we then on the hook?
We could put it on contingent of bids.
Oh,
The
so you're
final
saying by the
sale.
city selling it to SCDC?
SCDC, or is the SCDC on the hook for it at that point? They have, are they, I mean, are they a tax exempt organization?
They are.
So I guess it really wouldn't apply then, but.
It'd be tough to assess it to them.
I get, would it be better maybe to do it after we have the bids in and then approve the lot rather than doing it here today and having to back away from it possibly down the road?
Or just the council
Consent.
approves it, but we don't do the actual transfer of property till the
Subject
bid
Yeah,
is approved.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
So you don't have to bring it
bids.
back, subject to approval of the bid?
Okay.
Does
That's a
that
good-
make sense? That's a
yeah.
good point though,
Just
Greg.
to wait, I don't want to get back in
Then
the
all of a sudden,
corner.
it falls through, then, okay, do they have to give it back to the city and transfer property and go through the costs and legal work of that?
Because there's Plan B and C waiting in the wings, I think, but,
Yep.
yeah,
good.
I would say
That's a good
I would be more
Yeah.
comfortable doing
You
it
can do
that
it
way.
contingent upon
Contingent
Yep.
the
upon
bid being
bids.
approved and the project moving forward.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good point, Greg, thank you. All right, any other questions or discussion? Would you like to make that motion with that?
I would,
Okay.
with the contingency in there.
And are you clear on what his contingent's subject to? Okay.
I would support his motion.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you again,
Yep,
Kurt.
thank you.
Yep. May I have a roll call, please?
Funkert.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Number 5 on our agenda is the discussion of a full-time paramedic position, and Scott's going to bring us up to date on where we're at and where that could be going.
Yeah, basically what I'm looking for here today is not a specific individual for the position. As you know, this is a newly created position that we're looking at. We do have a handful of applicants that we've been looking at and reviewing. One of the items as far as that we would need to entail from a code standpoint is we have nothing currently code-wise that addresses how the position would be handled. In Chapter 38, we have basically as far as the ambulance service, as far as the director, assistant director, and some of those items. And a couple of the positions would probably be eliminated with the hiring of a full-time person via the code. So Chapter 38 would have to be probably cleaned up regardless. What I'm looking for from the council is basically the structure of the position as far as the authority of the position. Does the mayor and council want the ultimate authority of basically the hiring and firing of the individual or the appointment thereof with the administrative duties, maybe either under the city manager, which we have in other positions as of today, or do you want it just as a position under the city manager? I guess my recommendation is due to the position and the emergency services ultimately being under the mayor and city council, that the position should be appointed and ultimate approval is by the mayor and city council, with maybe the day-to-day operational
Under the city.
stuff being under the city manager position.
That makes
I would
sense.
keep it the same as we have the other directors and the fire chief.
Right.
They're all underneath the city council, but day-to-day operations falls to the city manager.
Because then I'd work with Micah to kind of maybe start working on cleaning up some of that language and getting that in
But
place first.
Is this more like those positions or is this more like the police chief position? This is a full-time position we're talking about.
It is. So it's the same yet a little bit different. It's a full-time paid position. So to me, it'd be similar to my position and Todd and Lyle and even Kurt, where, from the day-to-day operation stuff, I supervise probably with, Lyle, Todd, and Kurt's a whole different beast with the SEDC there. We won't get into that right now. We don't know where he is. But the other, our 4 positions, I guess, deemed senior management, ultimately the city council has the say over it, but day-to-day operation stuff, maybe not as much. So yeah, it's the same yet a little bit different because it's a full-time
Sure.
paid position. Did you have a different thought
I
on
guess it all
structure-wise
depends on
then?
Well, to me,
what position this one takes over. I mean, is this position going to take over the director or the assistant director?
Right now, what they're looking at is there's 4 positions right now in the SCAT. There's a director, assistant director, secretary, treasurer, and training officer. I think the general plan is that the assistant director position would no longer be, and/or the training officer position. They'd still have a director and then a secretary treasurer because they do like their fundraising projects and whatnot. I think from a operational standpoint that appears to make sense. Now, that could change down the road
Correct.
once you get a full-time person in there, but that's kind of the general plan.
Does the director now day-to-day report to you then?
It does, yeah.
Under that
but
subject,
ultimately, the mayor and city council appoint that
Okay.
individual.
Yeah.
And that was Cindy before. And
Correct,
now
it was Tracy Gordon,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. I
So
agree
ultimately, this new
completely.
position, though, will answer under Tracy then?
I'd say not.
You say?
To me, it'd be a new created person. I think there'd still be a director. It's under the
Okay.
mayor and approved by the mayor and city council. But then there'd be a full-time paramedic position.
Okay.
I don't know if you wouldn't necessarily call him maybe a director,
Yeah.
but a full-time paramedic position that would also be ultimately responsible to the mayor and city council.
They would have to work with the director.
Correct.
Right.
With training
Yeah.
and other operations in the department.
And maybe you call him an assistant director so it doesn't confuse it.
Right.
As whereas now as the director and the assistant director are actually ultimately approved by the mayor and city council.
See,
I think
that's
maybe-
where it gets confusing to me.
There's like
I
two
know.
directors.
Who does she report to? To me, I thought the paramedic was going to be assume administrative duties as well and become the director as a full-time position.
I think
Maybe it's just more from a title standpoint. Maybe the director becomes the assistant director from some bookkeeping side of it. I'm kind of taking this from SCAT on how the positions they'd want to keep and retain or
I
replace.
think at one time, Scott and I and Cindy visited, eventually, that's the road I think we'd go down is eventually that full-time person would become the director,
Director. And then,
down the road.
yeah. And
That's
then
the
the
way I was
assistant or
thinking, too.
secretary treasurer.
Down in the, as we got this thing going down the
Right.
road, if it's going to work, I think that's kind of where we were talking
I think
of
so too.
going. Is
They just don't know yet is kind of the unknown of how
We're-
all of them are going to play in the sandbox together.
we're on the uncharted
Right.
waters,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So depending on what the title would be of this said person, whether they would be a director, assistant, or full-time paramedic, whatever we title them, do we want that then to fall under mayor council?
Well,
with
if
day-to-day
he goes,
city
if
manager?
they end up being the director, you've got it covered.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We'd probably still just clean up some of the language
Exactly.
as far as how it's situated, but
I would recommend keeping it that way, mayor council, and then day-to-day under city manager.
well, maybe if general consensus is the full-time paramedic position is under the mayor council with the day-to-day under the city manager position, then maybe I can work with Micah on how that spells out code-wise. We can get kind of a draft to you to say, here's how kind of the hierarchy would work.
So
Does that make sense? Maybe we don't
Yeah.
need necessarily any action today, but just looking for feedback if you're thinking anything different or out of the realm of that,
The only
then
thing
we'd
is-
like to know that.
do you want to list it paramedic/EMT? Because should you not get a paramedic, but let's say they decide we want to do a full-time EMT,
Yeah, we'd probably
Then you-
describe it as what basically how it's entailed in the position.
Okay.
If we got an EMT and they want to go to, like
paramedic school.
paramedic school or whatever, the intent is, so we'd cover it for whatever the position entailed.
Okay.
Yep.
I hate just to say it's got to be a
Just
paramedic,
paramedic, yeah.
and then we hire someone lower than that.
Yep.
So cover our bases. That can
For
be
either
Either
or
or.
at the point. I would agree.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, good?
Yep. Don't want it to get confusing. Thank you. Number 6 on our agenda, setting the date and time for a public hearing regarding a rezoning request. We will set that date for Wednesday, July 20th, 2016 at 4:30 in the afternoon. And we'll need a motion to approve the setting of date and time for the public hearing.
So moved.
Support?
Thank you. Roll call. Questions, comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Gills.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Bunker.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
And number 7, the discussion of the event center names. As you know, they had to be submitted by last Friday, I believe it was. And you want to share with us
Sure.
the names that you guys have all?
Sure, we actually
The group is
received, just for
chosen.
numbers, because I know the media would like that, we did receive 63 different names that were submitted, so actually a really good response, probably more than what we anticipated. The design committee actually met this morning and reviewed some of those. Zach and Brad actually serve on that. Zach, of course, is not here, was not there this morning, but he did provide us his feedback on his suggestions before he left town. So the 4 names, which I handed out to everybody there, that we kind of narrowed down to, and we actually initially planned to potentially have 3. We couldn't finalize on 3, so we came up with 4 that we'd propose to put out on the online voting. First one is the Crossroads Regional Event Center. The second one is 1860 Regional Event Center. The third one is the Waters Edge Regional Event Center. And the fourth one, Waters Edge Pavilion. So we're, I guess, making this as a recommendation to the City Council, and with your approval, I think the SCDC is going to coordinate kind of an online voting system on the SheldonIowa.com website, where basically you can only go on there one time via your email or whatnot to only vote once, and then we would close voting on July 31st, correct, Kurt? Go through July 31, with the anticipation the first council meeting in August, we would announce the name and the winner.
Wonderful.
Basically, with the council, we just want to make sure, regardless of which one of this would win, that we're content with that potentially being the name.
Wonderful. I think they're great names.
So thoughts, Brad? I don't know if you have anything else, or Kurt or Todd. Todd is on there, and Kurt as well. So
There was lots to choose from, and I think amongst our committee, we had excellent conversations about the different names, and that's where we ended up.
Yep. I won't say which one's my favorite. I don't want to sway the vote.
Couple questions I have. Are we going with one that gets the most votes, or must it have a 51% majority?
Well, you know,
Most votes.
great
Majority.
question.
Most votes.
I don't know. I just say most votes, make it simple.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
It's a majority.
We just I want to. It'd be easier to address it now than
After the fact.
Yes. So most votes, and in the event of a tie, we pull them out of a hat.
Sure. Oops. What do you think? Yeah, I think that'd be.
It comes down to that.
I think
Fine
that
with
would be
me.
fair enough.
How about the other guys?
yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
fine.
Yeah. So majority, and if
That'd be
there's
the
a tie,
simplest.
we draw one. Okay. And once we get all this going, online voting, Kurt, what are you thinking? Maybe even today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Open by the
Tomorrow.
end of the day, but.
We'll say
Put it
tomorrow.
out. Yeah, tomorrow we'll for sure have it up. So
Okay.
we're trying to figure out the poll system. Make
Sure.
It's up and running and accurate. So
Okay.
let's get to tomorrow, and I think we'll be full.
Sounds good.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
And is this open to be on Sheldon's borders?
Pardon me?
Say there's family from outside of Sheldon that wanted to vote. Are
Yeah.
they eligible as well?
Well, how do you
It is,
limit
since it's out on
that?
the
Or, I
website,
mean,
I don't think we'd
anybody-
be able to.
Yeah, I don't know how you would limit that.
We could
so-
have people from Illinois voting a couple times.
That's
maybe.
right. I've already got a family member in Illinois waiting to see what we decided. So,
Whatever. I don't know how you
Whatever.
control
Are
it.
you gonna-
yeah, we're not going to be able to control where the votes come in, but we
Okay.
do know we can limit it like per. You can only vote once, similar to the KIWA website. I think they track your
Cookies and-
yes, whatever that
Are you-
stuff's called.
Make
And
them
I
add their
pretend
zip
I know.
code to it,
Right.
along with their email address or something. Now, is that something that they could
I
do,
don't think
maybe,
you can
Kurt?
I don't think you can add your email address to it. You can set up a default setting where you're only allowed to vote once.
Right.
Okay.
On your computer, essentially. So if you would go on KIWA on your computer, they have a poll,
Mm-hmm.
click on it. If you go back to it on your same computer and say you've already voted,
Okay.
Yeah.
it'll show you the results of the voting or where it's at today. So
Right.
essentially kind of the same.
Similar. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people, Sheldonites, current, past, maybe future, will be voting on that then too.
And if we don't like the results, the council
Then we're
makes
just
the
going to
final
start
decision.
over.
There you go.
All right. So
Buck
then,
stops here.
yeah. Do you want to do this by motion then?
Yeah,
to approve?
probably just to
Yeah,
approve
by-
and
yeah.
putting it out for.
Let's do by motion to approve the
So we're
4
on the same
names that we're
page
going to
with it.
submit for the polling, for the voting.
I'll move that we approve this list of 4 names. And the name will be, the name receiving the most votes will be the name, regardless whether it's majority or not. And in the event of a tie, the name will be pulled out of the names will be pulled out of the hat. One of the names will be pulled out of the hat.
Got it.
Support.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, or discussion? May I have a roll call, please?
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Last on our agenda, comments. Anything, Kurt, anything? Okay, to my left, to my right. Scott?
Just a
Just
couple
a-
items.
Oh,
Just a shout out to Rise Fest again for a bigger and better event this year than ever before. We were out of town on vacation at the time, but heard lots of good things, and I just want to give them another pat on the back and keep up the good work. And then also noticing the flowers on the poles and stuff downtown. They are absolutely
I've gotten many
gorgeous this year.
compliments, so if you want
Good
to
job
share
to
that.
marketing for that.
Marketing committee chose that, color coordination, a lot of compliments this year on that.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry.
Just one item, received a TIF application.
Okay.
So just to make note of that or whatever, that hopefully in the near future, a TIF proposal will be presented to the city council.
I
Just one last thing,
do not, yes.
Mayor,
Yep.
if I could please. Dear Mayor, council members, staff and community of Sheldon. Can you read it for me? Sorry.
Yes. Yep. Dear Mayor, council members, staff, and community of Sheldon. It is with a heavy heart that today, after 20 plus years with the city of Sheldon, I officially announce my resignation as the city manager. I have recently accepted an offer to become the next city manager for the city of Sioux Center. It is a great opportunity to work for the community where I grew up, where many of my family members live, and feel the timing and opportunity for me and my family is right. I plan to have my last official day with the city of Sheldon on September 7, 2016. Sheldon has been a great place to work and has been very good to me and to my family. There are so many people to thank and will do so at the appropriate time, but for now, please accept my resignation. Sincerely, Scott Wynja. Thank you. On that note, we'll share comments for later. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
May I have a roll call, please?
Hamel.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Gills.
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.